highlighted that you'd like us just to spend a little bit of time talking about. And Kunal, we're going to discuss an issue in India which has been making headlines these past few days. A battle for marriage equality is entering its final phase in India's Supreme Court, where judges have been hearing arguments on a number of petitions from same-sex couples seeking to legalise gay marriage. The Indian government is urging the court to reject the petitions, saying they represent what it calls an urban elitist view. Religious leaders from all of India's main religions are equally opposed to the move. We can hear two voices here. Supriyo Chakraborty and Abhay Dang are a same-sex couple from Hyderabad, and they're the lead petitioners in this case, and they told us why they were so keen to take legal action. And we hear from Abhay first.
Companionship and family is something that pretty much everybody desires to have. In case of heterosexual couples, they have a legal recognition. They have that legal sanction that, yes, they are couples, they're recognized by law as such. For example, rights to take medical decisions, be nominees for medical insurance, rights to inheritance. Marriage brings basically a bouquet of rights. None of those rights are available to us. So in the eyes of the law, we are just nobody.
So me and Abhay, we are together. It's been more than 10 years now. In the eyes of law, we are strangers. I would say our people, like our family, our friends, our relatives, they all are aware about us and they're very happy for us. So yes, I mean, that gives up a lot of courage. This thing is so important for us. So we decided to go forward and file the petition to the Supreme Court.
Supriyo and Abhay, how much, Kunal, is this a talking point in India just now?
It's generated a lot of interest, Julian, but I would preface it with a caveat saying that it's mostly in urban areas that this has also become an issue. We're seeing our social media timelines of people like us who are urban, mostly English speaking also in some ways, filled with posts, and updates. The Supreme Court proceedings are being live streamed, so people on Instagram, people on Twitter and Facebook are sharing all of these videos of the interaction between the judges and different lawyers representing both the government as well as the petitioners. So it is caused considerable interest, and we're seeing a lot of excitement among different communities. We're hoping that this is, as you said, this is really the last stand, and that marriage is held up by the Supreme Court at this instance, because remember, it's been a long fight. We're really dealing with colonial legacy here. The British came and criminalized homosexual activities in 1860, and since then, we're really dealing with this fight, which has only yielded fruit in the last 5 years or so. It was only in 2018 that the same Supreme Court of India decriminalized homosexual relations, and now we're looking at them legalizing same-sex marriage. So yes, it almost feels like an extremely long fight, but the final mile is yet to be done. So fingers crossed, this will be the final stand.
Well, let's continue the conversation with Rohin Bhatt, who's a lawyer representing some of the other petitioners in the case. Rohin, welcome to the programme.
Thank you for having me.
How do you see things progressing at this stage?
I remain cautiously optimistic about the way the case is going to go. I think it is for the first time since 2018, when the Supreme Court decriminalized homosexuality, that tens of petitioners are before the court seeking equality. The demand that most of these petitions make is nothing but equality. As a queer person myself, and if I may say so, as a lawyer on the case also, is what we are asking for is nothing but equality, nothing more and nothing less.
You're then cautiously optimistic, to quote you, so I'm bound to quote back to you what Narendra Modi says about this being an urban elitist view, that a valid marriage is only between a biological male and a biological woman, and add to that perhaps the fact that a lot of Indian people would agree with that sentiment.
I think a lot of Indian people, to disagree with you, wouldn't not agree with that. Remember this, transgender people have always had a visible presence in the Indian society. So it was never about biological man and biological women. the statement and the affidavit that the Solicitor General has made before the Supreme Court, to my mind, it reeks of discrimination and homophobia. I think this stand of the government is problematic in that a lot of petitioners before the court in these very proceedings are not urban, nor are they elite. There are transgender petitioners before the court who want to get married. So marriage as between a biological man and to say that marriage is only between a biological man and a biological woman is incorrect. One of the Supreme Court's famous judges, former judges, Justice Vivian Bose, said that the Constitution of India guarantees equality for even a butcher, a baker, and a candlestick maker. So to say that a claim for equality is only by the elite is extremely wrong. The Constitution of India functions not just for the elite, but for every single person who lives in this country.
Kunal, do you want to come back on this as you listen to Rohin Bhatt?
I mean, I completely agree with Rohin on his analysis of how the government has been. But I wondered, I just wanted to ask Rohin, even if we're seeing very, very optimistic statements emerging from the Supreme Court in how it's been dealing with the government, but Rohin, do you see that the government might, sort of go back to the parliament, even if we do get a favourable order in this case and the Supreme Court does uphold same-sex marriages? Do you see the Indian parliament and the Indian government really trying to overrule some of that through a legislative act?
Kunal, I think as a lawyer on this case, I do not want to foresee what's going on, and there are limits to what I can talk about. But let me say this. We, the queer people of India, had been fighting criminalization for 30, 40 years, right? And we are ready to take this fight on for as long as it'll take. We want to assert that we are nothing but equal. The Constitution does not create two classes of citizens, heterosexual and non-heterosexual, cisgender and not cisgender or transgender. What the Constitution creates is one set of people, we the people of India. And to achieve that equality, those of us who are queer, we are going to continue the fight even beyond the marriage equality debate, because there are other issues which are at stake even after the equality debates. So we are in it for the long haul, and we won't stop fighting.
Rohin, thank you very much indeed for coming on the programme. Rohin Bhatt, lawyer representing some of the other petitioners in that case. And Kunal, thank you for highlighting